Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
I don't know if I accidentally added you back to the stream or if you did, but anyway, I messed that up. Sorry, guys.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Aaron is here with Mitch Brisker. Guys, if you've been on my channel, you've probably seen us. We've done a few chats already. Mitch was the director at Golden Era Productions for 28 years. Mitch, has it been 2 years, 3 years since you've been out?
Oh, kind of. I mean, I haven't been back. I left Gold in like 2020, and then I did a little work for them. It's never a simple answer, right? So yeah, a couple of years. Let's just call it a couple of years.
Definitely less than 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. Well, I'll tell you who done messed up this time. Scientology once again done messed up. They did some more fair gaming. They've accused Mitch Brisker of violating his NDA 30 times.
At least 30 times.
They're saying you owe $750,000 in NDA violations. And what blows my mind, Mitch, and I hope we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
They didn't even send you this letter from a lawyer.
No, they just sent it via FedEx.
They sent it to you from Mike Rinder's ex-wife.
Yeah, I guess. Wait.
Right?
How do you figure?
Oh, Kathy.
Oh, no, you have your Kathy's. You have your Kathy's confused.
Mike's ex-wife is Kathy Bernardini.
Yeah, this is Kathy Frazier. You know who she is? She's the port captain Gold. She's the one that
makes an ass out of herself every time someone shows up to Golden Era Productions.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep,
so
that's her. Every
time a film crew or a documentary crew or whatever shows up to Golden Era Productions, she's the one who marches out. Who was the 60 Minutes Australia woman? Is the one that famously showed up and got told off on camera.
Yeah, by Kathy. Kathy's a legal door. She's Jeff Hawkins' ex-wife. Just for a little further color, a little further depth on that context.
Okay, so what can you share with us about this letter that you received?
I received it on August 28th, a couple of days ago, and basically I'm going to read you some of it because it's outrageous, and there's no one I'd rather discuss it with than you, because you've really gone through a lot of this stuff, and honestly, Aaron, I was triggered. I mean, even though I looked at it and it's like BS, still it was like, I mean, I still got a lot of stuff to unpack and so forth. I mean, I didn't have any moment of sort of doubt, like, oh my God, did I do the right thing? Because I know that I'm doing the right thing, but it rattled the shit out of me. I wish I would, anyway, I'm happy to be doing this with you because you're like a rock when it comes to this stuff. And I really appreciate it. You're welcome. And I really appreciate your having an interest in this. So basically this says, Dear Mitch, and this is in caps. The first three words are in caps. You have violated, then we go back to non-caps, both your contract and the multiple NDA agreements you signed with us. Now, I should just say that these NDAs, they forbid you from talking about plans and programs and what they're doing. They don't forbid you from saying these people treated me like they don't, because you can't make a person sign such a thing.
Mitch, I think you've actually been pretty careful about the things that you say. In fact, I think my viewing audience thinks you've been too careful about, I mean, honestly, right? I mean, I've asked you one time to give a person's name. You didn't want to give a person's name. Like, you have been very, there's a word, discretionary selective. The word's escaping me. I think you've been very selective about what you choose to share.
To some degree. To some degree, but I'll take that challenge. Yeah, I think I just saw one of your bloodthirsty audience accuse me of being Little Miss Cabbage because I'm too chill.
You saw that in the live chat?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, Mitch is so chill. Leave him be, Lil Davida Miscavige.
I misread it. I misread it. Thank you. You got me thinking that direction because of what you said, but I hear you, Aaron. I hear you. And, you got to remember, a lot of you guys, you waited 10 years to speak out. Okay, I waited 15 minutes. It's a little scarier. And that's not a criticism, because I know I'm going to look back in the future and I'm going to go, yeah, that was kind of stupid. I should have waited. So Anyway.
I mean, Mitch, most of the guys watching it in the chat have never been in Scientology. So, I mean, they're not.
Yeah, no, I know. They're never ins and watchers. I know. I've done my research on that. And I appreciate that. But this community is unbelievable. They're great. I love them. And I'm going to read to you now more from this wonderful letter. So now we're back to we're back to bold. Forget it. I won't mention that. You agreed to pay liquidated damages to Gold of $25,000 per violation of your contract and NDAs. I have calculated at least 30 violations to date. That's $750,000. Oh, that's kind of my reaction.
Can I point
please,
something out?
Go ahead.
If we needed any more evidence that these guys are watching every freaking minute of every video, any of all the former Scientologists who are doing content watch. I mean, she claims that she watched everything you've done and is literally keeping tallies of your violations.
She's counting it. But what's really funny, here's the deal. If you're in trouble with your mom, she says, you failed to clean up your room at least 6 times in the last week. It's like a generalized number. If you're in trouble with a lawyer, we have documented proof that you did this exactly 22 and a half, like it's really specific. You can just tell from the lack of specificity that this thing is an empty threat. It's just, and if you guys are listening, thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to go on. The next paragraph, again in bold, says Golden Air Productions paid you more than $8.4 million for your professional services, which was such a discount. I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, we're talking about almost 30 years. And
I mean, Mitch, in my book, you're worth at least 8.5.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Not a penny less
over the next 30 years. I expect to make at least 8.5. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, but you said that was over a 30-year period.
Well, it's whatever they calculate, and I don't think they don't have the records from when I worked at Scientology Media Productions, and then there's also some other sources of income that I made working for entities in the church. That it's probably actually more than that. But the fact of the matter is, if I was to calculate this against industry standard, not to mention the most egregious fact of all is they refuse to let me have any ownership. I am the only director in the world that produced that much media and didn't get some portion. Like when they rented those films to orgs, and then they took money that people paid for training. As the director of the film, in every other case, I would be paid a residual for that. All of that was denied. I mean, I forwent all that kind of pay, health, pension, welfare, an industry standard level of pay, and residuals.
That's actually an excellent point. So being a director for Gold for all these years, didn't get you into the Directors Guild?
No, I was in the Directors Guild before I went to work there.
I got it. So, but they're not covering your health. But did you qualify for health insurance through the Guild?
No, because I had to do this. I tried to do what's called a loan out company, so I could legally work through the Guild. It's a kind of complicated mechanism, but you basically create a company, and then that company is signed with the Guild, my company, and then they hire somebody from that company, and then they can get around signing a contract. So, but they wouldn't have anything to do with any of that. So basically, I got away with doing non-Guild work because the work I was doing wasn't threatening other Guild members. In other words, I wasn't being looked like I was doing non-union work when they should have been hired. They never would have hired somebody under a DGA contract. And plus, there is a waiver if you're doing it for your own religion. They're not going to, you get what I'm saying? So the Guild, they're a really good organization. They're not like Scientology.
So can I ask you another follow-up? So,
sure,
I mean,
go
since
ahead.
they're the ones throwing around dollar figures here. So if I take 8.4 million divided by 30 years, comes out to 280,000 a year. Were these guys paying you on a salary or per project or what?
I vary different times of the year, depending on different people's moods, whether they thought I was being overpaid or underpaid. It was crazy. I mean, it was like it went up and down and it was just nuts. Generally speaking, it was per project, and I had very strict, because of all of the normal conventions of pay for a professional film director, I had to sort of create some a mechanism. And so I would do kind of like we do in commercials, where I would create I'd get them to agree on benchmarks. And when I hit those benchmarks, I would get a portion of an overall fee. So it would be per product, and then I would get a percentage of an overall fee. But it was difficult. I mean, I went through a lot to sometimes. I mean, there was a period of time. You know what FP1 is, right? Yeah. So that means, just for you guys who don't know, your financial planning one, it's the things that you cannot get away with not paying.
It's your basic nut.
Yeah, you have to pay the lights, you have to pay your rent, your mortgage, whatever that is. And so there was a period of time in the mid 2000s where Miscavige decided that my pay would just be this weekly chunk that was FP1, and nobody could mess with it. But it lasted a couple of years, and then that fucking fell apart. I was always having to negotiate. And then,
did they always pay you as agreed, or did they try to nickel and dime you and negotiate?
No, once it was agreed, it never got knocked down. There was one time, it didn't get knocked down. Once they agreed, the nickel and diming, once that was over, then we were good. We would just go. I mean, there was one time when a real fiasco happened on a Dianetics shoot after I went back after SMP, and I was then, number 2 ethics bait, lower on the totem pole guy, but which was really funny because, I was working for all of these people that I trained. But we had a real little disaster on a Dianetics shoot, and it had to be reshot, just one sequence, and it was not a lot of money, I had absolutely zero to do with why this thing went off the rails. And I got pulled into a court of ethics and made to pay $2,000 back to the org for that. This is so outrageous. I mean, this is one of the things where I was like, slowly I'm being peeled away from this organization.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was just fucking horrible. That, like, having to pay back money. It was just like, you're going to pay for the shoot. You screwed it up. You're going to pay for the shoot. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I tell you a funny anecdote?
Please.
So there was one of the registrars. I forget in the IAS office for the West US. It was a woman. And I just remember her distinctly. The invitation had gone out for the annual IAS Patrons Ball.
Right.
And after it was printed, a typo was discovered. And for whatever reason, they made the Sea Org member pay for the cost of reprinting all the invitations.
Yeah, hundreds of dollars, right? Like hundreds of dollars. And
it was thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah. No, it's horrible. And they really think they're right to do it. I mean, I'll tell you an even more a really petty anecdote. In the dining room up at Gold, right? All the staff, they bust their dishes. The place where you take your dishes over to, there's a sign that lists each type of dish and how much it costs to replace. A dinner plate is $18. That's almost half your salary. And basically, if you break a dinner plate, you're going to pay for it. They're going to take it out of your pay. That really, I looked at that and I went, this is just, these people, they don't give a shit about their staff.
This multi-billion-dollar organization is making its staff who are working
$18 for a dinner plate. If you accidentally drop it while you're busting your dishes back.
Wow.
And that's a lot you can get a really nice dinner plate for $18. You don't have to spend $18 on a dinner plate. Anyway, it's just, there's a lot of crazy stuff like that.
Okay, so what else do they say?
Oh yeah, let's carry on. It said your services were terminated in 2017 due to abhorrent behavior and illegal activities. You were engaged in acts to which you admitted to in your committee of evidence. Okay, so this is kind of the standard boilerplate of how they get you. And like I've explained to my people on my channel, oh, and by the way, if you're watching this on Aaron's channel, can you just hop over to my channel, because I really need to watch hers. He doesn't. Sorry, Aaron. But
here, I'll show your channel real quick.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Anyway, no, and I told you guys, I'm not a pure as the driven snow. I did some things in my personal life. We just talked about that, and I'm going to talk to you about it more. That really pissed the church off because it had nothing to do with my job, didn't affect my job. Scientology is an incredibly sex negative organization. I have a video that I'm going to do called Scientology Cancels Sex. And that's enough said about that. So that's what they're referring to, aberrant behavior. And of course, I told them I did when I was almost 30 years in working with the church, I never had a comment. It all happened, everything. I had 2 comments or 3 and a couple of courts of ethics, all in the last 2 years I was there. And then I'm like, I'm done with you guys. That's it.
For those watching, a COMEV is a committee of evidence, which is basically like a Scientology court martial is how I like to describe it.
Yeah, it's a kangaroo court martial.
Yeah.
Everybody's there but Captain Kangaroo. And and it never goes well for the accused. It's really, I've never seen anybody walk out of a committee of evidence saying, "Oh, they found me innocent."
Can you just read that sentence? Can you read that sentence for me once again? Because this is like,
no problem.
And this is from someone who's trying to be like, we're your trusted friends. We're so hurt. We're so hurt that you've betrayed our trust. Just read it, please, one more time.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Your services were terminated in 2017. Okay, just let me interject. I have paid stubs all the way through the fall of 2021. So that's just BS. Due to aberrant behavior and illegal activities you were engaged in, acts to which you admitted during your committee of evidence. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Oh, and I just have to say, I'm not going to show it. One more thing. At the top of this document, it's the heading of the document says personal and confidential. Okay, like
I was going to ask you, like, what does that mean? Does that mean you are not to read this on the internet?
Well, exactly. You do not read this to Aaron Smith-Levin. Whatever you do. Anyway, no, that you probably have seen this in the org, right?
The personal and confidential?
Yeah, you put that on a document that is not going to be distributed. Like if it whatever the routing, whoever the CCs go to, or if there's no CCs, it just goes to you. That basically means your eyes only, do not share.
I'll be honest, that at service level orgs, shit does not get circulated that says confidential on it.
Yeah, well, at Gold was like, because
I believe it. Yeah,
everything gets circulated because they think they're like they have the rules are different there. Plus, it's surrounded by barbed wire, so they think they're free to do whatever they want. But you wanted to comment more on this paragraph?
No, I just wanted people to really hear like sort of the dripping vitriol in it.
Well, there's some really juicy stuff. There's this here. I want to read you just a couple other choice little bits, okay? Because it really gets ugly. And I want you to note the language. It's the attempt to steal your identity and replace it with this entire other thought that they want you to have. It's very prevalent in Scientology. Stop fooling yourself. I'm sorry. That makes me laugh. Stop fooling yourself. You are following the dictates of someone, open parent, your psychologist, closed parent, who is manipulating you into a reality that is false and which you know is false. So I'm like, I do? It's like, it's this trying to like, they think they can wipe your identity. They can go, no, you're not going to think that. You're going to think this. It's crazy.
I reject your reality.
Yeah.
And I interject my own.
Exactly. Okay. So, you want more?
Yeah. I mean, what else is in there?
Well, there's a thing about how I'm now a man who turned on and spread lies about people who not only have the ability to help others, even those like you who, get ready for this, even those like you who consider themselves beyond salvage.
What? Why are they saying,
but who help you the most?
Why are they saying to you that you consider yourself beyond salvage? Is that something you wrote up at the end of a liability formula?
No, that's not. No. I don't. That's not my language in any circumstance. I wouldn't say it that way. If I was going to say that, I wouldn't say it that way. I don't know why they're saying that. It's like,
hold on.
It's like they're trying to implant me with this idea that I said I was like, oh, poor pitiful me. It's kind of like, save me, Jesus. I'm beyond salvage. I don't know what
those last 4 paragraphs in the letter. You are now a man. Like, That's
These I do want to share these last ones because I think these are really the crux of the horribleness. You are now a man who turned on and spread lies about the people who not only have the ability to help others, even those like you who consider themselves beyond salvage and who helped you the most. Deep inside, you know what you have done to your own goodness. We will endure your lies. You won't. The overt act is too great for your own spirit. Nothing will ever replace what you have now lost. Your honor, your real friends. Mitch, I suggest you carefully reflect on your conduct and stop violating your agreements.
Mitch, those words strike me as being quite sinister. They border on threats.
You think so?
And it almost like, and I want to spend just a quick moment explaining what these words would mean to a Scientologist. Okay. Deep inside, you know what you have done to your own goodness. We will endure your lies. You won't. The overt act is too great for your own spirit. In Scientology, that means that you, underneath all your evilness, deep down, you're a Thetan who's natively good. And you as a Thetan know how evil what you're doing is and how good the organization you're attacking is. And you will, as a Thetan, cause yourself to succumb, which is a Scientology word for die.
I'm a goner.
To prevent yourself from continuing to harm such a good ethical organization. We will endure your lies. You won't. Now, that's not necessarily a threat that they're going to end your life. It's almost trying to rub your face in the fact that you will pull in something that will end your life is how I read that. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's psychological terrorism is what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to strike horror into your soul. And this is something Hubbard did, in the book. I have it here. I'm not going to try to find the passage, but you'll remember this one, Aaron. In the Introduction to Scientology Ethics, there's this passage where he talks about, and it's just bullshit. It's totally made up. You can tell it's made up unless you're, the second I read it, but people believe it. He talks about they hired a workman at St. Hill in England back when he was running the show back then. Remember this? And the workman overcharged them. And then when he found out what a horrible thing he'd done, that he had tried to bilk this group, and when he found out how good they are and what their true purpose was, he took a dose of Veronal, which is a poison, and he tried to kill himself. He didn't die. So, I mean, this is remember that? That was insane.
That's right. That the workman tried to overcharge them, but he didn't understand that they were a Scientology group. And once he found out who it was he had wronged, he couldn't bear it.
Right. And so watch out. That could happen to you. You screw up, and you could end up feeling so bad about it. You might.
Mitch, there's something else that really strikes me about this letter. It's not actually a demand for anything. It's not from a lawyer. It's not a cease and desist. It's not, if you don't do such and such, we're going to take legal action. It doesn't even threaten legal action. It just starts out by saying you violated your NDA, and I've calculated at least 30 violations. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have some legal capacity at Golden Era Productions, right? Meaning her post there is not legal, right?
She's legal, the port captain, but she's not.
But Mitch, isn't the port captain just public relations with the community?
Well, they would liaison with legal people, but it is a.
But hold on. It's not a director of special affairs post.
No.
Is there a DSA Gold?
No, absolutely not.
Why
would there be? They have Miscavige.
Who wears the DSA hat for the in base? Is it her? Is the port captain?
Oh, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they don't really have it. They really don't need that up there because, they've always had like, WDC OSA or some int person. I mean, that doesn't exist anymore. There's no management up there whatsoever. There's just nothing.
There's nobody posted at Gold to handle legal affairs?
That would be Kathy. That would be her.
Okay. So then she's basically the DSA. Okay.
Yeah. And then if she needs help, she's going to have to contact somebody at OSA. And I guarantee you, there's no ask in this letter. They're not asking for anything. They're just whatever spewing up.
Mitch, does that strike you as being really, really weird? They didn't even have one of their in-house lawyers shoot your letter. They had
no,
Kathy.
not weird at all. And I can tell you why. Because Gold is very isolated now. CRB hasn't. David Miscavige has not been up there since 2013. There's still a small contingent of RCC staff up there that handle traffic back and forth between Gold and. I mean, there was maybe 5 or 6 of them when I left. And I'm sure they're all still there. In that $50 million building, there's just like 4 or 5 people in the whole building. So I think they kind of want to, Miscavige, he may not know about this. The person that has to tell him that Mitch Brisker has a channel and he's speaking out on YouTube, that person is going to be destroyed.
Mitch, who would have told Kathy?
Probably somebody from OSA. It could even been like a Ben Shaw might have heard about it. Like there could be some, or Linda, what's her name? The CEO.
Hamill?
Yeah, Linda Hamill. There could be some like local, because they're watching everything on YouTube. So they're watching me and they're telling Kathy, fuck it. Tell him to shut the fuck up before Miscavige finds out about this. Because I guarantee you, they don't want him to find out about it. They can't really get lawyers involved in stuff because I'm sure he would find out about it. So you get what I'm saying? That's just
well. And now I'm noticing. I mean, aside from the fact that we know Kathy's not a lawyer, it says personal. If it was it's just a personal communication. Mitch, I just want you to know, as your friend, that you owe us $750K if you keep it up.
Or you could, Well, they're trying to. I mean, because I was so close with that organization that they think they can appeal to me on a personal level. And they think because they really, really were the ones they came to my rescue when I was having various different crises before I realized that I was interacting with the people who caused the trauma were the ones that I was asking to help me, which is something it takes you some distance from Scientology to realize that it's something that's very common in abusive relationships, whether they're cults or marriages or businesses, is that you very often turn to the person who's abusing you for help. And so they're leaving that part out of the narrative. They're saying, because they don't see it, it's invisible to them. So they think that I've just betrayed my friends, but because they're never going to see unless they left that I was literally returning to my abuser. I mean, listen, I read a thing, the National Abuse Hotline. They did a study and they discovered that an individual, before they leave a relationship, an organization, whatever it is, it takes them on average 7 times of leaving to leave, and they keep going back. So if you've left once and it takes you 7 times, that means you've gone back 6 times. Okay, so it's kind of in that thing. They're kind of appealing to me on a very personal level because I had such close personal relationships with so many of them.
Were you close with Kathy?
I knew her well. I mean, she wasn't. You're not really close with anybody. I mean, you know who I was close with? Annie Tidbit. Okay. I was close with Annie because we hung out a lot. She spent a lot of time with the crew. She was the COCMO Gold, so she would be over Gold. And when we were, a whole nother story, Hedley and I are going to talk about it. When we were renting a studio at an Air Force base about a half hour away from Gold before the castle was built, Annie was out there practically every day, and we hung out and had. I mean, I never knew who she was. That's the amazing thing. I never knew that she was Annie Brooker. I didn't know that. I just nobody ever said anything. And so
when did you learn that, who she was?
After she died. Oh, dude, wow. It was horrible. She was one of my closest friendlies because, we don't have friends in Scientology. We just have people we're friendly with, right? Because you never know who's going to rat you out for nothing. So, but
and Annie, she never told you. She never busted out with.
She didn't talk about that. She didn't talk about that one time.
She never busted out with some L. Ron Hubbard story.
Once. It was not her style. The guys that you knew were always going to be in trouble, and that were just, as we used to say in Scientology, out of valence. In other words, they just had like their personalities were kind of screwed up. The guys that would tell the most stories about, when I worked with Ron, they were always the biggest phonies. Okay, the people that didn't talk about it, like Annie, were the real genuine people. And she told me one story one day. I was having a really crappy day, and she came up to me and we were talking. She was trying to cheer me up because she's like that. She wasn't one of these, knock it off, no case on post, blah blah blah. Like she would genuinely connect with you. And she says, she just told me some anecdote. He said, when I was on the ship, Ron came up to me and said, blah, 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 it doesn't matter, but I remember what she told me about, and she said that brightened my day. Boom, anecdote was over. It was a one time in the, I don't know, 15 years that I knew her that she ever mentioned anything about that. We talked about film, we talked about cameras, we talked about movies. Anyway, she was. Yeah, she was one of my. I wasn't close with Kathy. I knew Kathy, but yeah, a lot of these guys, I was like, whatever.
So let me ask you this, Mitch.
Sure.
What is your situation with Int and Gold and an NDA? Do you? I mean, I guess they wouldn't be saying you violated an NDA unless you had an NDA. How are you dealing with this?
I don't know. They didn't exactly send a copy of it.
So you don't have a copy of any NDA that
no, but they never let you keep copies of shit. The only thing I ever remember signing, I signed. So I remember, I don't have an attorney. I don't really. They're never going to get a penny out of me because I'm totally broke. And I'm probably being a little foolish because I didn't immediately call an attorney. I don't really care because I don't think they're going to sue me because the certain things that one of their staff members did to me, I would immediately countersue them for criminal bullying, and because of my age, because I'm over 26, for elder abuse and all kinds of. So it would just get really fucking ugly. They don't want to do that, and
maybe that's why they sent this letter from Kathy, because they knew they didn't want to. They didn't want to play that legal hand right up front, knowing that you would just call that bluff and that would be the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I haven't been like so telling everything, because I don't necessarily want them to know everything that I do know, because it's a little bit of a insurance policy. You get what I'm saying? Like maybe if we don't, totally go after him, he's not, because I know a lot of stuff. A lot of it's in my book. I'll be talking more over period. But you get what I'm saying? Maybe that's faulty thinking on my part. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever. I still have big shards of cult in my brain that I pull out daily. So I'm not telling you that I'm 100% clear thinking about the whole thing. And maybe I'm just like Wile E. Coyote and there's a safe up there, falling, about to hit my head, and I'm just blissfully on YouTube talking to you, and any minute it's going to be like, and I'll be squashed flat. I don't know.
No, I mean, there's a reason why they haven't sued Mike Rinder. You think Mike Rinder doesn't have NDAs up the ass signed on file?
Yeah, that's the other thing I forgot. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Aaron, thank you, because you're 100. I mean, that really is the point. I'm like, well, who the hell else do they sue? Mike Rinder knows a lot more than I know. I mean, he's
the last person they sued for quote unquote violating an NDA was Debbie Cook.
Yeah.
And do you remember, Mitch? Do you remember when Debbie Cook took the stand? That wasn't even for a trial. That was for the hearing about.
I do it if it should go forward. I think, right? Isn't that what they call it?
They got an emergency injunction or a temporary injunction, and then they had to have a hearing to get a permanent injunction. And that testimony that we heard from Debbie Cook was just her testimony for the injunction hearing. Scientology said, please stop, please stop. Here's millions of dollars to go away. Please stop.
Yeah. And you, as you have pointed out so many times, they don't want to be deposed. I mean, you have explained that every possible way I think it could be explained. And I think it's great that you have, because it's helpful to people like me that are like, well, they haven't sue me. I have stuff. I will depose you. You have a staff member that did things, workplace harassment, elder abuse, felony bullying. All these things are illegal in California. They think they were just putting my ethics in. And wait till they get in the context of a court and of a courtroom, and they have to actually answer for it. It's going to be really ugly. Not to mention the fact that the information, the confidential information, which they have already divulged, and they will potentially divulge, they are in danger. I mean, they have information about a lot of us, right? Which they received under legal pre-penitent confidentiality. And if you violate that confidentiality, you lose it. You can no longer claim it. That's how it works. And I'm not sure why other people haven't gotten together and sued them. Maybe a bunch of us should, but they can no longer claim that once they violate it.
Yes, it's true. And that priest penitent privilege applies to, that's your privilege, not their privilege.
Right. That's right. It's like the lawyer privilege. I'm the only one that can give it up. Like with your lawyer, you have a confidentiality with your lawyer. You're the only one that can give it up. Your lawyer can't. You can, whatever the word is, say, I don't care about the confidentiality. They can't. And it's the same thing with in this case, with the priest penitent confidentiality.
In your opinion, what is it that you've said, unless the answer is just everything, what do you think you've covered publicly that they think violates the NDA?
Well, what do I think that they think? I think they think smack talking gold violates the NDA. I don't think it does, because those NDAs, they're about, I'll say it again, they're about, you cannot disclose our planning. You cannot say what we're shooting. You cannot say what we're, all of that stuff, right? That's
maybe unreleased projects or something.
Yeah. And what strategy you have meetings with David Miscavige, and you are privy to international strategy. You can't reveal any of that stuff. But if we're coming in your office bullying you every day to the point where you almost took your own life, that's not that you can't write an NDA against. I don't believe you can legally proof somebody against making those kinds of statements. I mean, I think they're really pissed off, especially about the gold video that I did, because I helped produce that video, and then I appeared in it more than anybody else, giving interviews about how wonderful Golden Era Productions is. And they're parading in public like they're human rights warriors. And 200 yards away from where we're shooting the thing, they got executives locked up in a trailer. And they got me so siloed, I don't even know about it. So then later, when I found out about the whole after I left, I mean, I knew those guys were in trouble because I saw them being marched to meals and shit, but I had no idea. And so, I took that video down and I made that reaction video, and man, and then at the end of the video, I got the most comprehensive list I could of the people that were incarcerated. And over the end of the gold video, where they're talking about how wonderful they are, I rolled all the names. They scrolled across the screen, everybody that was in the hole. And I think that just made their heads explode. And I think that's why they're like, NDA violation, which is just like, okay.
I'll tell you what, I think everyone would agree that if Scientology really thought that you had actually violated a legal agreement and that they had standing, they wouldn't after all these months. I mean, I feel like it's been months. How long has it actually been since you made your debutante ball on YouTube?
My bar mitzvah, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Has it been months? I mean, after all these
I
months.
don't know. I mean, I really tried to get monetized. I pulled it off in 28 days. So I think my first video was in July.
Okay,
and that was just the promo for my book. It was just a 15-second thing. And I was, and then I thought, oh, I should start promoting this book. And then I spoke with you, and I said, Aaron, I'm going to finish my book, and then come on, and you guys are going to help me promote it. And you're like, absolutely, we will help you do that. But I think you should make some friends on YouTube first. So then,
you definitely want to build a YouTube audience.
So you talked me into that, and then as a result of taking your good advice, I now can't get my book finished because I'm so engaged with the community.
Would you like me to bring my lawyer friend Zach on to answer some questions about this letter?
Yeah, if he would, I would love to hear it. I mean,
he's saying I'm available. I'll send him.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's
do it. Just, are you going to send him the whole thing? Because, there's.
I'm just sending him a link to join us.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's good. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Okay, good.
He probably has. I think people are in his live chat telling him that we could.
Yeah, he needs to go over it. Help! We need help. This guy's legal help. Help! So, no, anyway. So, hey, maybe you guys in the audience, give me a 1 if you think that I am giving enough info. Okay.
Oh, you mean?
I'm referring back to your statement at the beginning that some of your audience thinks that
so guys in the live chat, by the way, there's almost 1,800 of you. If you think Mitch sometimes, what's the right way to say it? that Mitch
Holds
is
back.
too selective and careful about what he chooses to say in stories, press 1. If you think Mitch is an open book, press 2.
Well, that's a pretty extreme way to put it, but I'll take the
That's
challenge.
true.
No,
That's
no,
true.
no. No,
Let
but
me
that's
ask you.
no. That I'm with you, Aaron. I'm 100%. I ratify it. I'm there.
I got a quick audio question just while we're chilling here for a
Sure,
second.
go ahead.
Why is it that you can have your microphone sitting over here and that works fine for you, but if I go anywhere away from this thing, it's like that test. If I'm not right up on it, it's not.
I don't know, because your mic costs three times more than mine.
No. I mean, your mic is working better than mine. Like mine, meaning if I get 8 inches away from this thing, you can tell for easily.
Well, I don't know. I do know that this mic is incredibly well priced because they're only $99, and I think they did it. They did it to like kill off that Shure. They just needed to.
So you don't like talking right into your mic like this? Like, oh yeah.
No, I like to have it like this so that if I want to say something like I was saying, usually I watch these streams when I'm doing laundry. I don't do laundry. I can do that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, your mic sounds amazing. If I could afford it, I would get one of those Shures because they're just. But I can't answer your question. I'm using a Wave XLR from Elgato, which I think is very good, and it has some software in it which I think enhances this mic. So just as an equipment thing, I have this plugged into what's called a Wave XLR. It's a great little device, and
let me see real quick if Zach's just.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of ones here. Okay, so I don't see any 2s. I see a couple ones. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna really do my best because listen, I think when I started, I was like the first interview I did with Aaron was just horrible, and it really wasn't his. It wasn't his. It really wasn't his fault. A lot of you guys blamed him, but I was like, But I
actually think I know what it is.
What's that?
Because I've watched a lot of your other interviews. You and I both we're talkers.
Yeah.
And I tend that we
have to work on that.
We commit similar sins. You answer my questions before I finish asking them, and I try to ask the next question before you're done answering. We both do the same thing to each other.
Yeah, I got to work on that. But
no, I'm just saying we both do it. It's
yeah,
fun.
I'm flattered that you would compare me to you because you really are in my universe in terms of doing this kind of stuff. You're like a god. Okay, I'm not trying to kiss your ass, but I'm just trying to give you a compliment because I really, my life's work was working with talent, and you're a very talented person.
Thank you.
It's kind of
scary.
Very kind. Yeah, no,
you're
welcome.
I'll tell you what. While we're waiting for Zach to join us, let's bang out some of the super chats that are in the queue here.
Yeah, perfect.
Mark Littlewood, how hard would it be for private detectives to track down and locate David Miscavige? Could we crowdfund such an initiative? Not that hard, surely. It would actually be impossible, Mark. That's my opinion.
Yeah, or even if it was possible, you'd get 90% of the way there and you'd never make the last 10%.
Exactly. Casey, Cat, Aaron, and Mitch, isn't there Scientologies for go F yourself? Just something sweet like that to send in response. I don't know. Is there some Scientology equivalent? No, I mean, Scientologists like the curse, so they would just tell you to go F yourself.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Mr. Blue Sky says, I just realized there's some kind of blue sky thing associated with LRH. The only thing is that there is a book written by John Atek called Let's Sell These People a Piece of Blue Sky. That's it. Other than that, I actually don't know what the blue sky thing is. The blue sky thing is associated with L. Ron Hubbard. Do you, Mitch?
Yeah, it's from a quote. He actually said somewhere, L. Ron Hubbard said, we need to sell them a piece of blue sky.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's some, I've read it. It's a quote. It's something he said. And he was basically talking about selling. It was intended to come off like selling hopefulness.
Yeah.
Like, and then John, who I don't know, I've never talked to about it, turned that around to me. Like, let's sell them a bridge or some swampland.
Interesting. He says, I fly unmanned aircraft systems and love the ELO song. What's the ELO song?
Oh, Electric Light Orchestra. Is that what you mean?
I don't know I don't know. Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, I know the band ELO, but I don't know the ELO song.
Does ELO have something to do with a blue sky?
Maybe it does. I don't remember their.
That's all right. Thanks for the comment, Mr. Blue Sky. Sorry that I don't fully. Some of it was wasted on me, but that's okay.
Tell us the name of the song.
Evelyn Woodward, thank you. Evelyn Woodward, thank you again. Betsy Sue says, "Fight the good fight, Mitch. I'm rooting for you." Casey Cat says Church of Scientology is frantic now. They're so scared. They're trying to stick their thumbs in the holes, yet don't see the tidal wave on the horizon.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, nobody who's left gold. I mean, nobody's left gold. It's got to really scare the crap out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, not since Mark and Claire left. I don't know who the heck is really left.
Yeah. Mandy Me says if legal, it would list specific violations.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Obi O'Brien says psychological gyrations. Excellent. Okay, good. Let's bring Mr. Zach Morgan on, the one and only, your lawyer friend, Zach.
I can't hear you. Hang on.
Morgan. Okay, we're live already. You know that, right? Just letting you know. Zach? All right. Text me when you're ready to go. All right. Lena Sewell. Aaron, please tell me you got my email about copyright video. Lena, I'll tell you what, if you send it to me today, I probably haven't seen it. I've been inundated with emails today. But I'll take a look. And Zach is ready to go. Zach.
Right.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Zach.
Welcome.
Great to meet you.
And you as well, Mitch.
Thank you. And I've been following your streams with Aaron, are just like some of my favorite.
Zach, you sound unusually quiet. Has anyone said that to you tonight?
I did. Let me see if I can bump the audio here. Is that any better?
That's actually a little better. Yeah.
Okay. I can give it a little more if I need to. There we go. Try that.
I mean, well, yeah, I think it should be fine. So Zach, have you already been briefed by your?
I haven't. I actually had my own live stream going. I try not to compete with you, but for whatever reason, I didn't get a notification you were going live. I said, "Oh, he's not going to go live this late. This isn't him." And then somebody in my chat said, "Hey, there's a bunch of questions waiting for you that Aaron's going to have for you." And that's when I text you, and I told my folks, "Go to Aaron's channel. I'll see you in just a minute." So,
Zach, I've never ever gone live at 10 o'clock at night, but I made an exception tonight for Mitch because he's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, so these things happen.
And thank you for that, Aaron. Really much appreciated.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, Zach, Mitch got a letter from Scientology, but not from one of their attorneys, saying you have violated your contract and your NDA, $25,000 per incident, 30 violations at least. And what's interesting, though, Zach, is that it's not actually a demand letter. This is just the first three paragraphs or first two paragraphs. You have so far racked up violations of $750,000. And then it goes on to basically say, don't forget all the times that we helped you and you're hurting us. Zach, here's the last three paragraphs. You're going to love this. You are now a man who has turned on and spread lies about the people who not only have the ability to help others, even those like you who consider themselves beyond salvage, but those who helped you the most. Deep inside, you know what you've done to your own goodness. We will endure your lies. You won't. The overt act is too great for your own spirit. Nothing will ever replace what you have now lost, your honor, your real friends. Mitch, I suggest you carefully reflect on your conduct and stop violating your agreements.
They sound like an angry high school ex-girlfriend on prom night.
Okay. That's the best legal advice I've had in a long time, Zach. Thanks.
It doesn't even come from a lawyer, Zach.
Well, clearly, because a lawyer would use words in a cogent manner that would be understandable.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were actually just starting to talk. I was just starting to talk with Mitch about what is your NDA with Golden Air Productions, and what are there things that you think you can't say? Like, are there things that, like, are you even actually trying to sort of stick to your NDA but not saying certain things? And then we commented briefly on the fact that Mike Rinder has undoubtedly signed dozens and dozens of NDAs, and Scientology's never tried to sue him once.
Well, and I might speak a little bit out of turn here, Mitch, but I would not, and you probably aren't, I would not sweat the concerns of a lawsuit, because Scientology, as Aaron has said forever, threatens everybody. They don't sue anybody because they can't afford the discovery. And right. I don't mean financially, they can't afford.
Yeah, I'm not, I have no concerns, Zach. I mean, that was exactly my feeling. Plus, they exhibit a certain behavior towards me, which is, I'm sure, comes under the heading of California of illegal workplace harassment, and like bullying to the point where it's criminal. And because I'm not 26 elder abuse. So, and they know that I'll turn right around and let them have it, and I would depose certain people if they're, and they would have to either lie or go on record as having committed these things. So I'm not all that worried. I mean, I think the NDAs I signed, I mean, I don't think, can anybody can they present you with an NDA that just says you can never talk about anything that ever happened here? Is there such a thing?
No, you can't have a universal NDA.
Yeah, because from what I remember, the papers that I signed, the agreements were you're privy to plans, you're privy to strategy and tactics, and you must not disclose any of those. You know, some of our quote unquote trade secret type things, but there's nothing that says you can't talk smack about us, especially if we're abusive to you.
Yeah, absolutely right. So NDAs are very similar in theory to like non-compete clauses. You know, this guy leaves Coca-Cola and goes to, and Coca-Cola says you can't go to Pepsi. What they can't say is you can never work in retail sales again. If they want to go work for Frito-Lay, go to work for Frito-Lay. It can't be universal. It can be reasonably restrictive, like the Coke recipe you can't tell anybody, but it can't be uniform. NDAs are the same way. They can't ban you from talking about everything you've ever learned in your entire life.
Right.
And also they can't last forever, right? Or can they?
Sometimes, so it depends on the nature of the NDA. You know, settlement NDAs, for example, you know, paying somebody off in lieu of a lawsuit or something, then absolutely those NDAs last forever. However, there could be actions that arise after the execution of an NDA. For example, if I'm harassed or fair gamed after I execute an NDA, that's completely different. I can go squawk to anybody I want to about those behaviors, because those behaviors post-date the NDA, and you can't make an NDA retroactive. I can't make it effective after the fact for things that happened after I signed it. It only affects things that occurred prior to the execution.
My next question would be, what do you make of the fact, legally speaking, that they've never let him keep or retain a copy of whatever the hell it is he signed?
That's gonna pose an issue, because if he says, well, the most common excuse I hear is, well, I didn't get a chance to read it when I signed it. And then my question is, well, do you have a copy of it? Well, yeah. So the fact that you never read it's not really my problem.
Right.
If in fact you were never provided a copy, that's a completely different issue. You had one time to read it. You got 50 people in the room, all mouth breathing over your neck, forcing you to sign it. And then you never had the opportunity ex post facto, after the fact, to then unilaterally read it, so you could at least say, well, gosh golly, I shouldn't have signed that, but at least I know what I agreed to. If you were never given a copy, you were given very little opportunity to review it.
Yeah, no, they don't. They never give you copies of these things. You're just presented with them. You sign it, you give it back. I mean, I had a contract with them that just stipulated the amount of compensation I would receive for performing different services. Of course, they give you a copy of that, but that's just like whatever.
Zach, what do you make of the fact that they sent him this letter accusing him of violating the NDA, but didn't bother including a copy of the NDA with the letter? Is that noteworthy?
Yeah, it is. Even if only for the fact that they know they can't send him a copy, because he's going to do exactly what he's doing right now. He's going to say, "Hey, Aaron, I emailed it to you. Put it on the screen."
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I would love to have one of those NDAs.
And that's why, you know, Mitch, to your point, we say, yeah, I'm not scared. I wouldn't be either. I mean, if the times I've had to send letters, because essentially an NDA is just a contract. It's a specific type of contract, but it's just a contract. Essentially what happens is, if I have to write a letter to somebody and say, hey, you're in breach of this contract, fix it. Yeah. I send a copy of the contract, and I specifically cite page 2, paragraph 6, sub B. If you look right there, this is what you're violating. So then they can't say, well, you told me I was violating the contract, but I never had any context. So, you know, this letter is the equivalent of, you know, somebody firing blanks at a track meet from the starting pistol, sort of what we're looking at.
I mean, it says here, Zach, it says, and I'm quoting, I have calculated at least 30 violations to date. It's so vague. It's like when you get in trouble with your mother and she says, you did this, I think you did this 4 times or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And when I've done that, when I've sent demand letters to people to behave because of a possible contract violation, I have always included date, specific on August 1st at 5:45 p.m. you met with somebody that you are not allowed under our contract to meet with, or Saturday at 2:00 you had a conversation with somebody about something that you can't converse about, whatever it was. I give them time, and if I have it, date examples.
Yeah, that was one of my first reactions, was that there was nothing specific. It was general. It was over 30 times. So, and I thought, oh, whatever.
One more question I got on this. Zach, what's your opinion on the wisdom of responding to the letter in any way, sending a written response in any way, shape, or form? Good or bad?
If the response is anything other than a selfie with the middle finger, I just leave it alone.
Okay, good. Good. Well, I if I get another one, I'm not going to open it. I'm going to put it in a larger envelope, take it to FedEx, and just send it back.
Yeah. So, if I really wish they would send out mail under a business reply, and then you can just load it with fishing weights and all your junk mail and send it back to them, because they pay by the ounce.
Yeah, that would be great. The other interesting thing I want to point out that people might find of interest is that the address they've sent it from is the actual address of Golden Hour Productions, not the Hollywood Ivar address, which is where all sort of legal business stuff goes through.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like it says right. Look, I think, didn't I send it to you, Aaron? Look at the bottom of it.
Yeah,
I scanned it. I sent you a scan. It says 19625 Gilman Springs Road, San Jacinto, California 92583.
Oh, that's right. It's just at the bottom of the letterhead.
Yeah, and it has the actual local phone number. Like, that's the direct line. That's not the line that goes through LA.
Wow.
So that's that's a 951 number. That's Riverside.
Wow.
Yeah, this sounds like a fairly significant breakdown in protocol there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm going to do him a favor and not read the number out, but.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's wrap up a couple of these super chats, and then I want to show everyone. Well, actually, here, I don't want to miss my opportunity. Let me present this screen right here. Okay, so we have your lawyer friend Zach. That's Zach's channel, at your lawyer friend Zach. And then we have Mitch Brisker. There's Mitch. Scientology, the big lie is his handle, but Mitch Brisker is the name, folks. Check that out. All right, let's bang through these real quick so we can wrap this up. Just a few here. Joni Cummings, SPTV Army is bigger than Scientology. David Miscavige is pooping his pants because he is scared AF. Love you both. Thank you, Joni. BJ's Critters, thank you. E.G. Johnson, just to be clear, I pretty much won't listen to anyone about Scientology unless they're an SP. Couch says, yeah, you'll be fine, Mitch. You have SPTV backing you. Absolutely. John Debenedette. Interwebs is on your side. Your thoughtful, intelligent channel is gold. And I can only guess that John made the same comment on both channels, because here it is again. Bada bing.
Smart guy.
Dave Bowen says, I can just see the tiny elf king at home pacing around on romper stompers, cursing SPTV. I don't know what romper stompers are.
Oh, something children wear.
Oh, okay. Gary Mackey says, Zach, you're going to need to get the razor out if you're going to hang with these two.
Well, if you've been to my merch store, you'll notice that I have sort of committed myself to a long-term commitment to the beard because of the logo that was developed at the merch store. So I'm sort of locked into the beard.
Yeah,
I don't think they're talking about the beard, Zach. They're talking about shaving that head.
Yeah, but in an SBTV nation, we're very diverse. We're all over the place, and which includes people with hair and not hair. So I think we can tolerate that.
This is a question, I guess, more up Zach's alley. Are NDAs legal if forced by intimidation?
So the simple answer is nothing is legal if it's forced by intimidation. The trickier issue is it's really quite difficult to prove intimidation, and this is actually being litigated, not under an NDA, but under the arbitration clause. This is currently being litigated in a variety of courts, I believe, including federal court in Tampa. Some of these issues are going to come to a head, and there's going to be some decisions made on this. And in fact, Aaron, I think one of the hearings you went to, the judge even asked the question, if you're being held in a room and the only way out the door is to sign it, is that truly voluntarily, or is that under coercion? Right? At what point is it no longer coercion? And so that's an issue of fact to be determined by the court. But you raise a very good point. Ultimately, the answer is no. But the trickier part is it can be quite difficult to prove.
Yeah, especially in so-called religious settings, because they can just say, "Well, Mitch, you could have said no." It gets pretty fuzzy. I mean,
You're right.
that's what they say to everybody, So, and this is probably the last one here. Nathaniel Christopher, thank you, Aaron, for using your platform to promote and champion new SPTV creators like Zach and Mitch. Not all YouTube creators do this. That's true. It's honestly one of the most rewarding ways to use the platform, because I know it truly is what will drive David Miscavige even more crazy. He doesn't have to worry about just one obnoxious guy talking on YouTube. He needs to worry about 20, 30, 40 guys and gals all doing the same.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about one bald, obnoxious guy.
That's right.
He's got a bunch of handsome men with no hair.
All right, everyone. Well, you guys good with calling it a night?
Yeah, no, I'm good. This is great, Aaron. I really appreciate you helping me unpack this thing and sharing your audience with it, so I could take them on this little journey. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome, guys. I know we're at the end, but if you're one of the 2,000 people watching live, do us a favor, hit that like button. It's fast, it's easy, it's free, and it helps us out. Thank you, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks everyone who watches until the very end. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe